15 years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show, there being a line for him ever getting a standing ovation at any comedy club.
He burst into the entertainment world like a lightning bolt slicing through the night sky, rebellious, sharp, and completely unafraid. By the time Katt Williams turned 30, he was no longer just a comedian. He was the nightmare of anyone trying to bury the truth in Hollywood. For nearly 3 decades, he has made the world laugh, reflect, and then shudder with his bold stories. But behind that laughter are wounds, schemes, and secrets that the industry has tried to keep hidden. Now, at 54, in a rare moment of complete, dangerous honesty, Katt is pointing the finger.
Big Dick Deviance is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all.
He's named 7 people, 7 stories, 7 individuals he claims are poisoning the entertainment industry. Some names you'll recognize instantly. Some will leave you breathless. Welcome back to The Fame Game, the channel where we don't just read the headlines, we analyze the story behind the story. If you are ready to walk through the fire and uncover the secrets of the industry, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. Trust me, this is a deep dive you do not want to miss. When Katt Williams speaks, the industry listens. Not because they want to, but because they have to. He claims these 7 people represent the dark side of Hollywood. Let's peel back the layers, starting with the very first name on his list. The suspicious rise of Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart. He always appears on stage with that radiant smile, that explosive energy. He sells an inspiring story of rising from poverty through sheer grit and self-discipline. But in Katt Williams' eyes, behind that spotlight lies a secret Hollywood doesn't want the public to know. Katt believes Kevin Hart is not a natural phenomenon. He believes Kevin is a product, a plant. And Katt says this not out of jealousy, but from the perspective of a man who stood on the dustiest stages across America and witnessed the brutal selection process from behind the velvet curtain.
Is that something that, you wouldn't do, for...
I definitely haven't ran into to put on the dress. I mean, you have to have boundaries. You have to have limits that you refuse to cross.
Let's look at the numbers, because Katt insists the math doesn't add up. In 2007, Katt Williams was one of the highest earning comedians in the US. He brought in over $10 million from his The Pimp Chronicles tour. He was selling out the Fox Theatre in Atlanta in just a few hours. He was the big brother, the voice of the streets. And then Kevin Hart stepped onto the scene. In the stand-up world, a career usually takes 8 to 12 years to truly break out. Chris Rock needed more than 15 years from his first time on stage. Dave Chappelle struggled for over 2 decades. Katt traveled by bus from state to state just to get 5 minutes at a small club. But Kevin Hart, he did it in 24 months. In 2011, Kevin launched the Laugh at My Pain tour, earning $15 million. By 2016, he was the world's highest-paid comedian, banking $87.5 million, surpassing legends like the Wayans brothers, Chris Rock, and Louis C.K. On the Club Shay Shay podcast, Katt dropped a question that haunted listeners. No one remembers ever seeing Kevin Hart perform anywhere. He asked people who lived in Los Angeles in 2001, did you ever line up to watch Kevin perform? Nobody said yes. Yet within just a year of arriving in Los Angeles, Kevin already had his own sitcom and a lead role in the movie Soul Plane. Katt argues that is not an industry pattern, that is a privilege. Katt recounted with biting sarcasm, Hollywood doesn't choose the best, Hollywood chooses the most suitable. He argues that Kevin is the perfect product, safe, easy to control, non-political, non-threatening. Just stand there and laugh loud. He is the opposite of Katt Williams' edginess, rebellion, and dangerous honesty. Hollywood prefers the predictable, and Kevin is the most predictable man in the room. Kevin responded to all this with a subtle tweet. Gotta get that anger up, champ. No reasoning, no denial, just a line soft enough to frame Katt as angry and jealous. It's a classic Hollywood tactic. Don't counter the truth, just manipulate the image. But what angers Katt the most is the narrative. Kevin has repeatedly said Katt self-destructed his own career. To Katt, that is the deepest insult. He performed 360 shows in 3 years. He faced arrests over minor misunderstandings. He lost deals. Meanwhile, Kevin survived infidelity scandals and extortion cases completely untouched. To Katt, Kevin Hart is dangerous not because he's bad, but because he is the perfect proof that Hollywood can create a star and make you believe they built themselves. We are just scratching the surface of this list. If you are enjoying this breakdown and want more unfiltered stories like this, please take a second to hit the like button. It helps us get this truth out to more people. Now let's move to the second name, a story of a rapid rise and a hard fall, Tiffany Haddish. If Kevin Hart is the manufactured star, Tiffany Haddish is Hollywood's living paradox. She succeeded too fast, too fiercely. Katt believes she was swept into the whirlwind before she could ever find her balance. Tiffany's story didn't follow the blueprint. She had no backing. She had a childhood crushed by violence and the foster care system. She was once homeless, living in her car, working janitorial jobs, and cheerleading just to survive. But when Girls Trip debuted in 2017 and swept the box office with over $140 million, Tiffany was hailed as the new queen of American comedy. Studios rushed to sign her. She became the first black female comedian to host Saturday Night Live. She won an Emmy. She signed multi-million-dollar deals, all within less than 24 months. But Katt saw the early signs of instability. A star needs a foundation. Tiffany was a survivor thrown into the deep end without a life vest. Her disastrous New Year's Eve show in 2018 was the first crack. She stepped on stage, forgot her material, and fans walked out. Instead of slowing down to build a stable foundation, the industry threw her into a flood of projects. Big budget films, voice acting, hosting gigs. It was as if Hollywood wanted to mine the Tiffany gold before she collapsed. Then came the lawsuits, the controversies. By 2024, she had been arrested twice for driving under the influence. Photos of her falling asleep at the wheel went viral. The public stopped seeing a warrior who overcame hardship and started seeing a symbol of losing control. Tiffany admitted she was exhausted. She said no one taught her how to live under the spotlight. Katt says she is the embodiment of Hollywood's other face, a place where fame doesn't help you find yourself. It exposes the wounds you've tried to hide. She is dangerous to the industry because she reminds them of an uncomfortable truth. They have no system to protect talent from the margins. When they rise too fast, they become ticking time bombs, and when they explode, Hollywood just steps aside. Now we have to talk about the shadow behind the spotlight. The third name, Steve Harvey. On Katt's list, Steve appears as a two-faced symbol, a publicly celebrated legend, and a quiet force operating behind the scenes. We all know the Steve Harvey story, the Cinderella Man. The man who lived in his car, survived on tuna sandwiches, and washed in hotel bathrooms before becoming a $200 million TV icon. It's a story that has brought millions to tears. But to Katt Williams, it was nothing more than a performance. Katt claims Steve was never homeless. In his interview, Katt said coldly, he's told that story 500,000 times. But one phone call and I knew. Mark Curry used to pay him $3,000 a show 25 years ago. Katt insists the homeless story is a brand narrative crafted to sell inspiration. But the beef goes deeper. It goes back to New Year's Eve 2008 in Detroit, the championship of stand-up comedy. Steve Harvey versus Katt Williams, 10,000 fans. Rumors have swirled for years that Katt Williams destroyed Steve on that stage. Katt claims that night broke Steve. He says Steve didn't quit stand-up in 2012 because he was too busy. He quit because he lost the showdown in Detroit. Katt bragged, I embarrassed him right on that stage. I called out his wig in front of 10,000 people. But Katt dropped an even heavier accusation. He claimed the Steve Harvey show wasn't created by Steve at all. He claims it was borrowed from comedian Mark Curry's sitcom Hangin' with Mr. Cooper. Katt called him a copier, not a creator. Steve responded in the most Steve Harvey way possible, vaguely saying, I can always tell when someone is making things up about me. But for Katt, Steve represents the men in suits preaching morality while living a lie. The tension is getting high and we haven't even touched the biggest names yet. If you're with us so far, tap that like button to show your support for deep investigative reporting. Next up is a story of betrayal that split the comedy world in half. Cedric the Entertainer and the Stolen Laughter. Some conflicts start with money. This one started with a joke. In the late 1990s, Katt was a nobody performing at the Comedy Store in LA. He tried out a new bit, a short, sharp joke about a black man dreaming of a luxury car. He wrote it in the parking lot. When he finished, Cedric the Entertainer stood up in the audience and applauded. Cedric, a king of comedy, went backstage, shook Katt's hand, and said, "That bit was really good." For a young comic, that was everything. Validation from a king. But 2 years later, Katt watched the film The Original Kings of Comedy. And there was Cedric, closing his set with a story about a black man dreaming of a spaceship. Katt froze. The structure, the rhythm, the lines. It was his joke. Just the car swapped for a spaceship. Katt stayed silent for over 20 years. He thought maybe it would pass. But in 2023, when Cedric denied the theft on a podcast, saying he made it up himself, Katt went scorched earth. He went on Club Shay Shay and laid it bare. He said, "Cedric stole my most expensive joke." To Katt, this wasn't just about intellectual property. It was about humiliation. It was the arrogance of a legend thinking a nobody would never be big enough to call him out. It was about erasing Katt's memory from that night in 1998. Cedric responded, saying Katt was rewriting history. But to Katt, Cedric is dangerous because he represents those with power who are willing to take from those below them without a single acknowledgement. Now let's look at the empire builder. Tyler Perry. When people think of Tyler Perry, they think of a billion-dollar machine. A 330-acre studio. But Katt Williams stands on the opposite side. Katt famously turned down roles to avoid wearing a dress. Tyler Perry built a fortune wearing one as Medea. Katt dropped a bombshell question that silenced the room. When will people stop calling Tyler Perry a builder of young talent? He challenged everyone. Name the actors in his movies. Who actually became famous? Katt argues that Tyler Perry doesn't create stars. He reuses a familiar group of actors and none of them break out to become A-list stars outside of the Perry universe. He provides jobs, yes, but he doesn't create legacies. But deeper than that, Katt hates the imagery. For millions, Medea is funny. For Katt, Medea is a distorted caricature, a form of historical clowning disguised as commercial success. He believes Tyler Perry is misplaced influence, a colossal empire that could change the culture, but instead repeats an old formula where laughter matters more than dignity. Then there is the rebellious rapper, Ludacris. This one shocked everyone. Katt and Luda came up together in Atlanta. Luda was the braid-wearing, afro-sporting, rapid-fire rapper. Katt was the underground comic. They were cool. Katt even did a cameo on Luda's album. But then Ludacris entered Hollywood, and Katt believes the man he knew disappeared. When the Fast and Furious franchise exploded, the braids vanished. The street persona vanished. The Southern Rebel became a clean-cut, suit-wearing family actor. Katt dropped a chaotic claim. He said Ludacris joined the Illuminati. He claimed Luda agreed to cut away his identity in exchange for a $200 million deal. Now, Katt uses Illuminati as a metaphor for the system that demands you sacrifice your cultural identity to become a safe, marketable figure for global audiences. Katt doesn't believe that's evolution. He believes it is surrender. Ludacris fired back with a freestyle rap, denying the claims and subtly poking at Katt's history with substance abuse. But Katt sees Ludacris on the red carpet and sees only one thing: a man who compromised. And finally, the last name. The man who vanished. Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker was the soul of Friday, a comedy god. But after the peak of Rush Hour 3, after becoming the highest paid actor in Hollywood, he went silent. No big movies. No specials. Katt looked at that silence and asked, what did Hollywood do to Chris Tucker? Katt dropped a name that sucked the air out of the room. Epstein Island. He said, Chris Tucker ain't Chris Tucker no more. That's Chris Tucker from Epstein Island. Chris Tucker's name did appear on a flight log for a humanitarian trip to Africa in 2002. Tucker has vehemently denied ever visiting Epstein's private island or knowing about his crimes. He says he was there for charity with Bill Clinton. But Katt sees smoke. He even brought up Michael Jackson. He noted that MJ used to call Chris Tucker Christmas. A subtle, soft line, but Katt twisted it into a hint of something strange. To Katt, these aren't coincidences. They are puzzle pieces. He believes Chris Tucker didn't leave Hollywood out of boredom. He believes Tucker saw something, or was part of something, too dark to stay. Katt claims Tucker is dangerous because his story represents the industry's darkest truth. The light is bright enough to lift you to the top, but toxic enough to make your soul disappear. These 7 stories paint a picture of a brutal industry. From the manufactured rise of Kevin Hart to the vanished career of Chris Tucker. Whether you believe Katt is a prophet telling the truth or a bitter man stirring the pot, one thing is clear: Hollywood never forgives anyone who exposes the game. Now it's your turn. Do you believe Katt Williams, or is this just jealousy? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. And before you click away, make sure you hit that subscribe button for the Fame Game and turn on notifications. We are just getting started uncovering the stories they don't want you to hear. Thanks for watching.